Welcome to Information Security for Activists. This video will focus on digital safety for protesters. So you've probably been to a protest recently. In fact, that's probably how you found us. Did you know that Big Brother was watching? As the future of our nation is under threat from a fascist regime, our activism could be the most important job we'll ever have. You can bet that the regime views our dissent as an existential threat and takes suppressing it just as seriously. America has a strong tradition of activism, dating back to slave revolts and indigenous uprisings, even before the founding of the United States. Challenging existing power structures has always carried risk, but the digital landscape provided by today's technology makes it far riskier than ever before. The law enforcement pillar of the regime commonly works with tech companies to access your data, including where you've been, who you've talked to, and what you've searched, all of which you believed was private. In addition to regime law enforcement, activists face a threat from their fellow citizens who espouse hostile political views. A data breach could expose your name and other personal information, which can have ramifications in your everyday life, including harassment, arrest, or doxing. In this video, we'll talk about how to keep your data safe while attending a protest. We'll go over how to prevent your smartphone from leaving a trail of breadcrumbs and how to take advantage of built-in security features like passwords and lock screens. And we're going to take a deep dive into 2 case studies, which will help you understand how hostile groups can leverage information against activists and show you why we recommend the precautions that we do. We'll be focused on digital safety and information security for activists attending protests or resistance actions. If you're interested in general protest safety, check out a peacekeeping training with the safety team. If you'd like to know more about day-to-day digital safety, stay tuned for future installments in this series. This presentation won't make you a cybersecurity expert, but if you follow the tips we outline, you'll secure your data enough to be protest ready. We're going to start with the bottom line up front. How to prepare. First, don't mark yourself as going on Facebook or other online platforms because you don't need to telegraph where and when you'll be. Save the event details on a personal device or a piece of paper. If you need to search the internet for any information related to the protest, use a browser and search engine that don't track you. To be clear, your internet service provider will still know what websites you visit, but at least the rest of the internet won't. Turn off your smartphone's breadcrumbs and biometrics. Make sure you're using a lock screen and a strong password. I'm going to break down these steps in detail in just a minute. And set up a Signal account. If you don't want to use your personal phone number, you can create a new phone number with Google Voice and register that with Signal. Signal is an encrypted messaging app, which means it prevents third parties from viewing the content of your messages. Find a friend or several to go with and connect with them over Signal to discuss plans. If you choose to attend the protest without a phone, don't go alone. Arrange times and places where you can meet up with your buddies before you go to the protest. During the protest, stick with your buddies and agree on a fallback location in case you get separated. If you need directions to the location of the protest, avoid using Google Maps because it tracks you. Our first case study will elaborate on how it works. Instead, use Apple Maps, DuckDuckGo Maps, or Osmond OpenStreetMap. If you want, print the directions on paper before leaving for the action. After the action is over, leave and delete any Signal groups that were set up for that protest. Don't post your protest photos on social media. Our second case study will highlight the risks of using social media. We'd love for you to share your photos safely, so please work with our trained photographers and asset managers who will properly anonymize any photos before sharing them online. Let's talk about digital breadcrumbs. Your phone is a powerful tool, but also a powerful tracking device for law enforcement and other entities. Phones record and share lots of information about your whereabouts and activity with different services. This is usually a good thing, as it helps your apps respond to your needs and situation. But when you attend an action, those features can provide a rich digital breadcrumb trail that forces of oppression can exploit against you. Your phone has a built-in GPS receiver that enables maps and other location-based apps to work. The phone itself will keep that GPS receiver on at all times, recording where you are, and occasionally send updates on your whereabouts to Google, Apple, or other app publishers. Turn off location services, which disables the GPS receiver and prevents your location data from being recorded at all. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, ultra-wideband, and AirDrop are common technologies that use short-range radios to communicate with other devices. Their operation requires your phone to broadcast information which can uniquely identify itself. This information can be observed by scanning devices operated by stores, government agencies, or police to identify people who are nearby. These radios should be disabled whenever possible. Your mobile carrier can also track your location using your phone's contact with its cellular towers. Even if you're not actively in a call, texting, or browsing the internet over a cellular connection, there is still constant activity between your device and the towers to maintain that connection. These connections are sufficiently accurate to place an individual on the same block as an action. This location information is typically logged by your carrier and can be accessible to law enforcement. Both Apple and Android phones have a feature called airplane mode to quickly disable the cellular radio and some or all of the radios present on the device. Airplane mode came about from a time when cell phone radios risked interfering with the aircraft's critical flight instruments. As cell technology improved, it's not the case anymore, and the exact behavior of airplane mode is dependent on which device you're using. The safest option for ensuring that all of your radios have been disabled is to both enable airplane mode and manually ensure that the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi radios are turned off in your device's settings app. It's time to dive into our first case study, which illustrates why location tracking poses a risk to activists. The topic of this case study is a geofence search. In March of 2018, an unknown suspect planted package bombs and murdered 2 people in a residential neighborhood in Austin, Texas. There were no witnesses except for Google. Police obtained a search warrant for Google's location data for all devices that were near the scene of the crime around the time that it occurred. The warrant defined a generously sized bounding box or geofence and covered a 12-hour span of time. Google complied with the warrant and provided the data from its database called Sensor Vault. They claimed the data was anonymized, but how anonymized could it really be if a homeowner's name is publicly filed in the town's registry of deeds? And it's not surprising whatsoever to find a homeowner in their own home. The geofence included over 70 residences, meaning the mobile devices of hundreds of people, and not just those living there, but also every driver and pedestrian passing through as well, had their data searched and seized. The detectives scoured the location data for suspicious patterns to identify possible suspects. For the handful of suspicious mobile devices they identified, police requested the location history outside the scope of the original warrant. After all, they've cast a wide net and they've fished up some probable cause. At this point, Google gave them the name, email address, and other data associated with the accounts in question. Now obviously, we want the bomber to be caught, so this looks good on the surface. But if you were attending a political dissident meeting in that neighborhood that night, a meeting that you had to keep secret from a repressive fascist regime, you'd all be caught too. Google reported that they received tens of thousands of geofence warrants annually. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and anyone else receives them as well. So your data have probably already gotten caught up in the surveillance dragnet at one time or another. This case study is meant to highlight the danger of location tracking. And while privacy regulations are absent or lacking, The best you can do for now is to stop leaving more breadcrumbs. Let's switch gears and talk about preventing unauthorized access to your phone. Here's some practical advice to protect your phone against intrusion should it fall into someone else's hands. Your first line of defense is your phone's lock screen. Fingerprint readers and face scanners make for convenient unlock mechanisms in day-to-day use. But if you attend an action, there's a risk that your phone may be seized by police. They will physically have your phone and may have the ability to apply your finger or face to unlock your phone, even if you resist or are unconscious. For this reason, biometric unlock mechanisms should be avoided during an action. Phones also let you select how long they should wait before auto-locking themselves. You should set this timer to be as short as practical so that if you drop your phone or it's stolen, the timer will expire and the phone will lock before anyone else can access it. The power button should make the phone lock immediately. However, there are ways to access data on a phone without unlocking it. The way to defend against that is full disk encryption, where all the information on the phone is stored in encrypted form. This prevents law enforcement from removing the storage chips on your phone, as all of the contents will be unreadable without being unlocked in your specific phone by your specific unlock code. To use full disk encryption on an iPhone, simply set a lock screen passcode and it will activate the feature automatically. To see if your Android has encryption, you can go to Settings, choose Security, and find the Encrypt Phone option. It will either say Encrypted or prompt you to turn on encryption if it's available. Keeping backups of your important data is always a good idea, but the built-in cloud backups for iOS and Android pose a problem for activists. Backups made with iCloud are encrypted in such a way that employees at Apple can access them. Anything in the backup, including photos, contacts, and unencrypted messages, can be handed over to law enforcement. Keys to unlock the phone's full disk encryption are also stored on the iCloud backup. This arrangement allows law enforcement to request the backup data from Apple and use the key to unlock the entire phone. Android leverages Google Drive for data backup, which does not generally contain decryption keys, but does automatically include app data, call data, contacts, calendar events, videos, and photos. Starting in 2018, Google has offered end-to-end encrypted backups that even they cannot open without the user's passcode. If your phone uses Android version 9 or newer, this feature is automatically active. Do not use cloud backups if your phone's operating system is older than Android version 9. I'd be remiss to do a digital safety presentation without talking about passwords. A password is the primary mechanism to secure your online accounts, but it can also be a vulnerability. Here are some tips for protecting your online accounts. Turn on two-factor authentication everywhere that it's offered. This adds a second check whenever you log in that it's really you. The second factor can be an app on your phone, an email, or a text message. A one-time use code is sent to you, which you enter into the service to prove you're in control of that second factor. When choosing a 2FA method, authentication app such as Google Authenticator is a good balance between convenience and security. Google Authenticator is free and available for both Apple and Android. Longer passwords are harder to break, regardless of the type of characters they contain. Modern hacking tools can try every possible character in every order for an 8-character password instantly, but a 10-character password would take it a couple hours. The best technique is to use a passphrase, or multiple words that are easy for you to remember, but so long that it would take centuries for a hacker to crack. Online accounts often use security questions as a backup system, should you need to reset your password. These questions ask for personal information which is often accessible to others. When you respond to security questions, try using code phrases instead of answering them honestly, so that nobody familiar with your life could guess it and force a password reset without your consent. For example, for the question, "Where did you attend school in the 6th grade?" you could instead respond with your favorite cartoon character from the 6th grade. Password managers are apps that work like personal vaults for your passwords. They can save the username and password for each app and site that you use. This vault is encrypted and can only be unlocked by a master password. All you need to do is remember your master password, and it will fill in everything else for you. This frees up mental space, but most importantly, for security, it allows you to have each site use a completely unique and random password. Most people use the exact same password or variants of it across multiple sites, and this is a significant security risk. If any one of those sites are breached, then your password could be released into the hacker community, often right next to your email. It's shockingly easy for hackers to try those leaked credentials on other accounts, and this vulnerability can be neutralized if the password used with each site is unique. With a password manager, you can set every account to use a totally unguessable, randomly generated, unique password. Most password managers include a random generator to make those passwords for you, and you never have to remember them because they stay securely recorded inside your personal vault within the manager. Our recommendation for password manager is Bitwarden. It's an open source and easy to use password manager that uses robust encryption standards. If you take the 4 measures presented on this slide, your online accounts will be much harder to hack. Speaking of online accounts, let's do our second case study. This is about how the FBI used social media to track down a protester in Philadelphia who was accused of setting a police car on fire. After news helicopters caught footage of the incident from high above, authorities scoured photos on Instagram for clues. They found photos of the masked protester and identified her unique t-shirt design as one sold in a specific store on Etsy. One of the reviews for that shirt on Etsy was posted by a female user from Philadelphia. Agents searched for other online accounts with the same handle as that Etsy review, and this led them to a LinkedIn profile, listing the account owner's place of employment. The business's website featured a photo of a woman showing the same peace sign tattoo that agents noticed on the masked protester in the Instagram photos. This identifying detail sealed the deal on her arrest. Your takeaways from this story are: first, keep your activist life and professional life separate. Don't wear something to a protest that can be used to identify you, such as a shirt embroidered with your employer's logo. And don't use the same handle or username for your activist account as for your professional accounts. And second, don't post protest photos on social media unless they're properly anonymized, stripped of location metadata and identifying features to protect yourself and your fellow activists. If you'd like to learn how to strip metadata from photos, let us know and we can teach you another time. Let's take a step back and talk about some guiding principles. Your phone is a data goldmine. It contains where you've been, what you've said, and with whom you have communicated. Recommendations that we make are all based on the same guiding principle. Avoid tools that collect your information, store it outside your control, or leave it publicly exposed. Here are some examples. Avoid Google Maps while attending an action. Police and other agencies can use Google's high-precision data to locate a person near a criminal act within a few feet and down to the minute. Alternatives to consider include DuckDuckGo and OpenStreetMaps, which don't track their users. For group messaging apps, we recommend Signal, which was built from the ground up for personal security. Telegram and WhatsApp have a track record of security issues. While Telegram supports end-to-end encryption for messages between individuals, the feature is not active for all conversations by default, and it's not available for group messages. The full contents of group messages may be subject to review by Telegram staff and could be provided to law enforcement. WhatsApp faces similar vulnerabilities. While Discord is an extremely useful platform, nothing on Discord is secure. According to Discord's privacy policy, they collect your messages, information about your device, other apps that you're using, and even websites that you're visiting. Even if you sign up for Discord using a pseudonym, the data about your device and actions could be enough to identify you by cross-referencing with other data sources. All this sums up to an unacceptable risk for certain activist use cases. If there are other tools, like Discord, that you're not ready to give up, I encourage you to research their privacy policies to know what risks you're taking and what you can do to protect your data. This brings us to the bottom line. Your privacy is not as impacted by what tool you use as it is by how you use it. Operate under the assumption that any messages you send or receive can be recorded by the police. And be mindful of the risk profile for your role in the movement. Are you a casual rally-going participant? Or are you an organizer and a living, breathing phone book of all activists in your region? How much damage could be done to the movement if your data were breached? You should take security precautions that are appropriate for your risk profile. The riskier your data, the stricter the precautions. If you're ever unsure, please chat with someone on our tech team. Let's recap what we've learned. We talked about how to keep your data safe while attending a protest, including steps to take beforehand to prepare, safeguarding your data during the protest, and properly disposing of it afterward. We described how to prevent your smartphone from leaving a trail of breadcrumbs and how to take advantage of the built-in security features like passwords and lock screens. And finally, we analyzed 2 case studies, which helped you understand how hostile groups leverage information against activists and showed you why we recommend the precautions that we do. I'll end with a list of references that I consulted while making this video. These are good pages to visit if you'd like to learn more. See you next time, and stay safe.